Hi, everybody. It's Eric Murray from the sugarhuddle.com. Well, they say records are meant to be broken. Of course, Drew Brees knows a whole lot about that, and he continues to rewrite the NFL record books. On Monday night, of course, against the Redskins in the Superdome, what does he do? He breaks Peyton Manning's all-time passing yardage record, and he does it in style. In fact, the play that he broke the record on, it was a 62-yard, granted busted coverage, but still 62-yard long touchdown pass. Long celebration afterwards ensued with his teammates, his coaches, the whole city of New Orleans, really. Of course, his wife and his 4 kids were there. And then he got what I like to call a Student of the Month style certificate, paper certificate, saying that he broke the NFL record. No doubt. Of course, he knew that already. So he'll probably hang that on his fridge next to his kids' artwork. Be a nice little memento for him to take home. But Brees was unbelievable. He was 26 of 29 for 363 yards and 3 touchdowns on the night. He actually had a chance to make history 2 ways, because if he would have had a forced touchdown pass on Monday night against the Redskins, he actually would have had 500 for his career. He would have been just the 4th player to join the 500 club. And in fact, he would have been the 2nd over this past NFL weekend. Remember, Tom Brady on Thursday night got his 500th against the Colts, and fitting in, it was actually to Josh Gordon, of all people, which his 420th career touchdown pass probably would have been more fitting to throw to Josh Gordon. You could see the irony there, read between the lines. But nonetheless, Brees will do it in a couple weeks when they play in Baltimore. Remember, they have a bye next week. New Orleans is 4-1 now, and they came out of the gate, opening drive, touchdown, moved it right down the field. Eventually, it was 13-6, then 20-6, and then all of a sudden, Brees, one play, 62-yard touchdown to Traquan Smith, the rookie out of UCF, who hadn't been really used all year, and all of a sudden, 3 catches, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns in this game. He's 6'2", 210, so he's a guy who could be yet another dangerous weapon down the stretch. And anyhow, that gave Brees the NFL record, surpassing Manning. That made it 26-6. The Redskins did score late in the half, but then, of course, the Saints came out hot to start the second half as well. And, of course, Brees got his 499th touchdown pass, finding Smith again on another beautiful long pass, a 35-yarder, threw it right on a line, in stride, beautiful play. But, the thing is, the Saints, as impressive as Brees and the offense was, and Mark Ingram coming back from suspension, really played with purpose. Didn't put up real big numbers, but had a couple short rushing touchdowns, had a long reception that set up a touchdown. But, the defense especially, they came out of nowhere last year and were so great last year after so many terrible years. A lot of young, talented pieces. And then all of a sudden this year, they just kind of forgot how to play defense again. They reverted back to their pre-2017 form. And they've just been kind of getting shredded week in and week out. And, they had, I think it was week 2 when they played the Browns. They played fairly well, but again, the Browns offense at the time wasn't doing a whole lot. But generally, they've struggled really, really badly. And the secondary especially has been a disappointment, especially all that young talent they have there and how they played last year. But at any rate, they came out and they played exceptionally well against Alex Smith and the Redskins offense. And I know it's not the most explosive offense, and Alex Smith's kind of a nick-and-dunk passer, but I was really impressed with their performance against him, really held him and that offense in check. Running game couldn't get anything going for the Redskins. And the thing that especially impressed me is the fact that, Cam Jordan, Sheldon Rankins, a couple of our defense linemen, we knew they were good, but remember, they gave up a lot to trade up in the first round this past spring and get Marcus Davenport from UT San Antonio. And he's a really talented but really raw player. And he did nothing in the preseason, did nothing the first few weeks of the season. And then last week, he really started to come on against the Giants down the stretch. Really did a nice job against New York. And then this week, he really did a tremendous job. Played really as well as anybody on defense. Ended up having a sack and made some other nice plays. So that's really encouraging to see. So really, it was an all-around team effort for the Saints in a 43-19 blowout win of the Redskins. The Redskins, I don't want to call them fraudulent, but, their defense came in actually ranked number 1 in a few categories. They were ranked number 1 in scoring defense, in total defense, and as well as passing defense. And they were ranked, top 10 in some other categories as well, but they hadn't really played a big-time offense yet. And even though they were coming off of a bye, you kind of knew going into New Orleans, that's a tough place to play. And not surprisingly, they got shelled. Now, one thing that's good for them is a lot of the mistakes they made are pretty correctable. Booger McFarland, one of the Monday night analysts, one of the things that he pointed out, which is spot on, is if you look at the Redskins' first half performance, it was a lot of just dumb mistakes. Josh Norman, a holding on 3rd and 4, extended a drive. I think it was actually extended the opening drive for the Saints, and they eventually scored a touchdown. And then, of course, there was another drive soon after where the Saints, Drew Brees gets sacked. Looks like they're going to have to punt because it was 3rd down when he got sacked. And then all of a sudden, one of their defensive backs comes in and pushes Ingram down and gets an obvious personal foul flag. And, of course, the Saints drive down the field, score another touchdown. And then there's some busted coverages, including Brees' record-setting play where he had the touchdown pass to Smith, 62 yards. Smith was wide open because defensive backs were looking underneath. Really bad on their part. But nonetheless, I still think the Redskins have a chance to possibly be a top 10 defense this year, certainly much improved from the past couple years. And one thing that really helps, and this is another thing that Booger pointed out on the Monday Night Football telecast, is look at their next few weeks. They really like to play physical, run-based teams. They're playing Carolina at home. They're playing Dallas at home before they travel to the Giants a week after that. So those are three, there's crucial matchups, obviously, especially the last two because they're divisional matchups. And they actually still have the division lead after this loss. They're 2-2. The NFC East is wide open. But, the thing is, those are three teams that really don't have that great of offenses. And so really the Redskins have a chance to really bounce back in all three of those games. Their offense itself won't have to get into real big shootouts more than likely. And so all of a sudden Washington could have 3 in a row, and they could end up really kind of taking control early on of the NFC East, which is really just a weird kind of struggling division right now. Nobody's playing particularly well. Even the world champion Eagles, as we see, aren't looking too good right now. But I think Washington, going forward, will bounce back after this game. Tough place to play in the Superdome, especially prime time. But nonetheless, you kind of know what you're getting with Alex Smith, and you saw his limitations tonight. You kind of saw why the Chiefs rolled the dice when they traded up and drafted Pat Mahomes, and then, of course, eventually traded away Alex Smith. But nonetheless, if they can kind of get the running game going every week instead of every other week, and if the defense presumably has some pretty good outings against lesser offenses in the coming weeks, they'll be in pretty good position because they could quickly be 5-2 here if they win these next 3 games. What they should win, doesn't mean they will, but games they should win, we'll see. Whatever, but again, going back to the Saints, really impressive performance by them. Just on a side note, as far as the Redskins go, yesterday was Columbus Day, and it was really a tough day for indigenous people's nicknames, at least, because you had the Indians and the Braves that both got eliminated from the MLB postseason, and then, of course, this genocide happens in New Orleans. So, what have you. That's, you see the irony there, of course, as well. But looking at the Saints, this is a team that's 4-1, no signs of slowing down. They're a team that, got this bye week coming up. Then they go to Baltimore. Baltimore looks more winnable after seeing what they did against Cleveland on Sunday. So the Saints are already kind of showing early on, after a couple rough weeks of start season, they're starting to kind of gear up for that possible Super Bowl run. So teams like the Rams and some of these other top teams in the NFC, they got to watch out because the Saints could sneak up on you. And then again with the Redskins, they could quickly be 5-2 here. It's looking like 9-7 might win the NFC East, so we'll see. But anyways, those are just some of my thoughts on the Monday night game that happened. And anyhow, I wrote a story about it on thesugarhuddle.com. I also create a Facebook page, The Sugar Huddle, so please go ahead and like that, and I constantly try to do some of my posts from my website on there as well. But anyways, yeah, go to thesugarhuddle.com, check that out, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll be back with more video updates soon.